Hi there, my name's Kiralee and I'm Agent 27 at the Cosmic Intelligence Agency, and this is a very special new moon report for the Cosmic Intelligence Agency. So coming up on September 30th or October the 1st, depending where you are in the world, is the Libran new moon. And we are just coming off the back of so much astrological intense weather with the two eclipses. The last new moon was a solar eclipse, then we had the lunar eclipse, and then we had the equinox. So there's just so much going on, so much change. So personally, I've been so keen to look at what's coming up next, what's coming up with this Libra new moon and what's coming up for the month ahead. And well, the news is, guys, it's really complicated, this new moon. So what I'll do is I'll quickly run around the aspects so you can have a look at it for those of you that are interested in the astrology, and then I'll come back and I'll talk to you about what it all means. Okay, so straight up, first up is the Sun and Moon are conjunct in Libra, which is always what happens at a new moon. The Sun and the Moon are conjunct. They're conjunct in Libra at 8 degrees and 15 minutes of Libra. And as usual, I highly recommend you check out where in your natal chart 8 degrees and 15 minutes lands, i.e. in which house. And from that you can tell which area of life you can expect new beginnings, a fresh start, birthing new conditions, so that's the new moon. Now, this time, very interestingly, Jupiter is now in Libra and is conjunct the new moon. So we'll definitely be talking about that. So what's of great interest is that Mars at 2 degrees of Capricorn is squaring Jupiter in Libra. Jupiter in Libra at 4 degrees. And that Pluto at 15 degrees of Capricorn is squaring the new moon. We'll definitely be talking about that when Pluto's squaring the new moon. What else is of interest here is that the midpoint between Mars and Pluto is at 8 degrees of Capricorn, and that is squaring the new moon. So that's big news. That's a lot of tension playing out at this new moon. Okay, moving right along, Neptune and the South Node in Pisces are quincunxing the new moon, so that's icky, sticky, tricky as well. Saturn, phew, thank goodness, Saturn in Sagittarius and Antares, the fixed star, they're in Sagittarius. They are sextiling the new moon. So that is so much planetary action, it's like pouring all these, radical ingredients on the new moon and coming up with this very interesting mix of influences at this new moon. Just some other angles to mention right now is that, of course, Mercury has gone direct. Haha, hooray. But at this stage, at this new moon, Mercury is still in the shadow phase, still in the Mercury retrograde shadow phase. So we're not completely out of the woods with this one yet. So Mercury is opposite Chiron, the wounded healer. So picking up the flavor that there's still quite a bit of work to do here with Mercury. And Uranus and Eris, the disturbers, they are quincunxing Mercury. So that's really edgy as well. So lots of tricky aspects at this new moon. So let's jump into it. Okay, so first up, we have the new moon in Libra. Okay, the Sun and the Moon in Libra. So when we're talking about the Sun, we're talking about what we want to consciously cultivate. It's our path to enlightenment, and it is a conscious process. When we are talking about the moon, it's much more subconscious. It's our past, it's our DNA, it's our soul journey. It's all these things that are so deeply embedded and ingrained in us. They feel like instincts. It's like movable forces beyond the intellect. It's the emotion, it's feeling, it's intuition, things like that. So this is an amazing combination of these past influences and this conscious application and conscious aspiration for future evolution when the Sun and the Moon get together here in Libra. So Libra is the sign of balance. You can see the scales, you know, weighing things up. So here with the Libra new moon, and particularly with Jupiter there, Jupiter's like this great amplifier. It's like going to turn up the volume to maximum on whatever's going on with the planets it's touching. So what we're likely to see here with this new moon in Libra, and playing out for quite some time too with Jupiter in Libra, is that wherever things are out of balance in our life or in our bodies, or you know, in our karma, or you know, wherever in our society, wherever things are out of balance, Jupiter's going to come and inflate the situation, exaggerate the situation, blow the situation so far up that it becomes so apparent that things are out of balance. So, you know, some people say, oh, Libra, it's a time of balance. It's like, well, it's actually a time to make an assessment of where the scales are. And with the solar energies there, to work consciously, to reharmonize, rebalance, you know, to bring things out of extremes and into much more moderate, temperate proportions and ratios. Okay, to make things fair and equitable for all, you know, to take things from a place of injustice to justice. So that is a conscious effort to cultivate this harmony, this balance, to focus on cooperation, things like that. Okay, so it really is a tricky time, because if things are out of balance, then we are going to see like evidence of extremes and extremism. We're going to see polarities, like things in the dualistic world, opposites opposing each other very powerfully. So we can see people involved in conflicts and debates, and you know, and lots of argy-bargy vying for oppositional views. So it can be full of disharmony, the whole Libran thing. You know, with Jupiter there, it's going to amplify wherever there is disharmony. So be on the lookout for that. The thing is, if we do have things in a balance, or things are in a motion that's constantly, you know, at the end some aggregate imbalance, then we should feel a deep down sense of peace and well-being and flow and creativity and ideas and ideals, and all these things should flow. So at this Libra new moon, we don't know which way things are going to go. It's just a really good time to get conscious about the balance in situations and where are things falling out of balance. Now, there's all these planets that are operating on this new moon in ways that are quite stressful, actually. So let's start with, let's just look at the stressor on Jupiter, because Jupiter's having such a powerful effect on the new moon. So the stressor there is Mars in Capricorn, stressing out with a square to Jupiter. So this can be like a tug of war between Jupiter trying to balance things and Mars not interested in the balance. Mars in Capricorn just wanting to take action. Mars can be aggressive. Mars can be, loves conflict, loves war. So there can be this vying between peace and war. There can be this real sense of passive aggressive energies while Librans trying to be passive, but Mars is being aggressive, and it can bring out a passive aggressive tendency in Libra anyway, which a Libra is prone to anyway, you know. So conflict, you know, Mars loves a good conflict and just goes for it, whereas Libra's trying to avoid the conflict but nevertheless can end up in absolute war situations. So it's very hard to balance this. One could be trying to hold the peace, but then out comes Mars in Capricorn, just taking action. It can be quite brutal or brittle, or just very rough and rugged and raw. And Libra likes to things to be aesthetically fine, you know, and have higher ideals, and to think things through beautifully, you know, and act later. You know, maybe Libra gets caught up in indecision and Mars just wants to go, go, go. Mars has got a goal, Mars has got a plan. It doesn't want to sit around and wait. So there's so much psychological tension there. It seems like action needs to be taken. It seems like these conflicts need to be worked through pronto, because there's this real drive to take action, but it's rugged and full of friction and full of tension, and might just actually spill over into aggression or brutality or violence, which is exactly what Libra's trying to avoid. Libra's trying to look for equanimity, trying for equality, trying for justice, trying for fairness. I'm saying the word trying a lot, and the whole situation could be quite trying. Tricky. Now Pluto is squaring the new moon, so this is bringing up, let's do Pluto and Neptune together. Pluto is bringing up old patterning from the past, old psychological patterning. It's very karmic. We now are looking at issues around power imbalances. When we take the midpoint of Mars and Pluto together and see that they're making an exact square to the Libra new moon, the potential here is for great violence and depression. It's very nasty, like I'm thinking Nazi party kind of oppression here, you know, working with brutality and violence and trying to smash some kind of ideal around a peaceful order, or the peaceful order rallying its resources and finding a way to cope with oppressive, dark, violent forces. So this can be going on in one's internal psyche, and it can also be playing out on the world channel. Neptune conjunct the South Node in Pisces. So this is this time where just so much stuff is coming up. It's like all the ghosts of our ancestors on a big social, political, collective level are up. I know in my country we're stuck back in this whole drama around racism, and we're still having to face this karma of working through this classism, elitism, racism, all these unconscious stuff that most people have just picked up through their families, through their culture, very unconscious about, and we are back dealing with this stuff again. So it's a lot of stuff coming up. We've really got to go through this stuff, the prejudices, where all the places in society where people aren't equal, you know, whether it's, you know, women having less power than men, or whether it's like non-whites having less power than white people, or whether it's like non-heterosexual people having less power than heterosexual people. It's like all these debates are up, and we are wrestling things out, and yeah, and I'm sure in many other countries things are, you know, beyond debating. It's much more impacted violence and fighting. So, you know, it's pretty heavy. But with the Libra new moon, we really are trying to cultivate some justice here, and work towards peace. And the best way to do that, of course, is to find the peace within, and to live that, be that, stay in touch with that, work through that ray of consciousness, no matter who you're engaging or what situations you're engaging in the world. Saturn is sextiling the new moon, so Saturn and Antares. So that actually lends quite a bit of weight to the Libran side of things, a grounding, powerful force that I've been talking about Saturn and Antares quite a bit, and it's very much in a kind of militaristic mode and determined to succeed, but by taking a very unorthodox path, even though Saturn is the planet of the status quo. So this is likely to come from the status quo, a very unorthodox path. So very interesting time. So we can draw on Saturn in Sagittarius for stability, power, courage, vision, commitment, in amongst whatever dramas are playing out in ourselves, in our inner psyches, or in our local vicinity, or in our societies and countries. Okay, and Uranus and Eris, they are the grand disturbers, the wild cards, and they are bringing difficult energy through to Mercury and Virgo. Mercury and Virgo is finally moving forward, but Mercury is still in the shadow phase and it's still in Virgo. So would you believe we've probably still got tons of loose ends to deal with, lots of little jobs to do, I mean lots and lots, lots of things to take care of, but we're getting to the end stage of this where we've been doing so much work, and Uranus and Eris now could be just what we need to come through and just clear out the last of whatever it is we're doing. But since it's connected to the wounded healer, I would say that it's a really powerful time at this new moon to communicate stuff that's been it's been constellating for quite some time. Like, it's all part of this cleanup job, it's all part of this phase we're in, where we've actually been experiencing an amazing amount of divine grace here at the end of all these mutable happenings, all this changing and all these like this zigzag path, and with the Mercury retrograde, so many plans falling apart, but behind it this beautiful grace of divine mother energy coming to show us a better way, leading us towards healing, you know, healing old situations, old wounds, old karmic stories, you know, old patterning, heading us back home, back to family, however we define that, back to our true identity, our true belonging. So it's been so powerful, but it seems like things just need to be said and will just come out like that. With Uranus and Eris there, might say things that you weren't expecting yourself to say, that just fall out, that finally break open and release these situations, because the wounded healer is involved. So I imagine that it's kind of like the perfect triggers. So Mercury, the Mercury retrograde shadow phase will be over on the 7th of October, and that will be when Mercury is at 29 degrees of Virgo. So pretty much 7th, 8th, 9th, when Mercury goes into Libra, we will be completely clear of this chaos, and Mercury will come to meet Jupiter, and we can move forward with whole different energies. It's amazing coming out of all this Virgo time and going into Libra time. Finally, like, we can really wrap our head around thinking about art and music, and like putting our minds back into gear, our higher minds. You know, Mercury and Virgo have been so concerned with the dusting and the gathering and collecting and the sorting and going through all the rubbish and all the garbage, you know what I mean, and clearing things out. It's been so much grounded physical, mental, menial, manual work. So now our minds can take flight and we can start to appreciate, the art and the aesthetics, and look for the art that's going on in life and in our life, and reconnect with our minds as creative beings, and really re-identify as much more airy beings. Get our little wings flying. Rev up the nervous system a bit, and get into the mental realm, much more ideas, and give those flight. So yes, so much going on. Let me see, how would I round this all up? I think with the Libran stuff, it's like, it's so good to keep an eye on the range of things, like the extremes, the swings. You know, Jupiter coming to the Libra thing, it can amplify big swings, like a pendulum. Could be swings in mood, swings in situations, you know. So work really hard to focus on the middle path. Like I said before, stay focused internally and keeping things very centered, and find the centered way. Don't overdo things, don't underdo things, you know. So keep that your focus. Yeah, and keep yourself balanced. So you start to consciously do the checks and balances on the way you're conducting yourself and your life. And yeah, just follow yourself in the process of harmonizing, you know. I think it'd be very beneficial to be very conscious of the Libran qualities and cultivate those, and like then Jupiter will amplify this sense of well-being for you. So good luck with all of that, and I'll catch you next time at the next new moon. And if you like, you can check me out on YouTube and subscribe to my channel, and yeah, find me on Facebook. Ciao for now.